What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Angelo. With me, as always, is Alex. Alex, does it ever get tired or boring being wrong all the time? Just all the time.
All the
Always.
time. Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you, Angela? Apparently, I am wrong. Like, I have no clue why I'm
No,
wrong
not.
in
What do
this
you mean,
in this
apparently?
situation.
Like, have you even called a game right?
I have called the game right. If I'm not
That's
mistaken, the
surprising.
Chiefs were picking to reach the Super Bowl. So
Get out of
far,
here.
I am right on that one. But that's you're true. That's the only game that I picked correctly, straight up. In terms of the picks, I did much better, but we'll get to there when we'll get to there. Um, but yeah, like I feel like a lot of these games sort of went about how I was expecting them to go, but in the end, it sort of tilted the other way, which fucked me up in the end. But that's probably the big thing for me here. Did these games go like in accordance to what you were thinking? Were you surprised? Well, I mean, there was one game which we definitely
For the most
both were
part, yeah.
surprised. I would say. Uh,
So, spoiler alert, that game, I don't think I was surprised. We'll get back to this, but I think I made a right assessment before the postseason started, but I overthought it before the week before. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But go on.
I was just wondering, like
But overall, no, I was not surprised with the results.
yeah, I
Unlike you, who expected the Eagles to, suck and
what was I saying about the Eagles? What was my main point of issue with the
I don't know. It's
Eagles?
kind of hard to find a point, outside of all the hating you do on the Eagles.
We're
They're
also
not winning good enough, Angelo.
well, did they? Like, I'm just
Yes,
asking, what on offense did they do? That's all that I ask.
they ran for like 200 yards. That not good enough, buddy?
Perfect. What they did through the passing game.
They won the game, Alex. That's what they
Yes,
did.
like if you watch that game, it was going exactly as
They
I
do.
thought it
It's
was
like,
going.
I at least kind of get it in the regular season when you're like, oh, this is a regular season. They didn't beat this inferior team good enough. This is the playoffs where all the games are supposed to be close, Alex.
I'm not disagreeing with the fact that they are close games, but it was very like this was exactly how I thought this game was going to go. It was they would have had a strong start
Eagles
because
lose.
it was in Philly, because it was snowing and whatnot. So like the conditions favored them in there. They were the better running team, but as they were running the football, they would probably get a good enough lead in the first half that they would take their foot off the gas because that's usually the Eagles' problem, that they would take their foot off the grass in the second half, which was exactly what happened. And it allowed the Rams to pick over and basically be in this game until like the very end, despite the mistakes that they made. They were in this game until the very end. And if it was not for the I think it was a false start on the offensive line on the Rams, I really think the Rams would have won this game. And you watch that game, and in the second half, the offense looked completely discombobulated. Like you had Jalen Hurts taking a safety like out of nowhere where he had plenty of time to get rid of the football. He just takes a safety. He was taking sacks like that as well, where like Makai Becton just forgot to block his guy. The guy was coming in, like Hurts was looking him straight in the eyes, and he just took the sack instead of getting the ball away. Like I feel that Eagles team is still somewhat overhyped, and I think
You're
eventually they're gonna
you're
get caught.
talking
If
about
it's by the
singular mistakes.
Commanders or the Chiefs in the final, I think they will get caught. And they'll get destroyed by one of those teams.
You're talking about singular mistakes, but this is the same man who later in the show is going to try to excuse away three turnovers, which are much bigger than mistakes than taking a sack here.
Hey, it
We'll see.
is
We'll see. We'll
it
see.
is there. I mean, there's players that definitely had worse games. There's players that definitely did more for their team in the end to get them in those set games. So we will talk about everything in the end. When we're done, like every point will be talked about. And again, as I said, I'm gonna be right on most of them.
No, you're not.
I am.
Your opinions are like your predictions. They're right until they're wrong, and they're always wrong.
Hey, we both had the same records on the picks this week. Spoiler.
Hmm. Okay. Oh, go on, Alex. You have the show sheet. I do not. I just make the show sheet and then
You
forget what
you
I wrote down.
okay. So so we sort of took a massive wrong turn here going to the Eagles with the Rams because the first game on the show sheet was actually talking about the Commanders and the Lions. So
Yep.
I'm
You just
guessing
had to, derail the show, and you had to
you
get the
brought
Eagles
them.
hate in early.
You
You
brought them
had to
in.
hate on the Eagles. You did this.
Well,
You did this.
we'll just agree on
So we're
disagreeing.
here. We might as well talk about it. The Eagles shellacked the Packers.
The
I'm
Packers.
just kidding.
You're like a week behind, Angelo.
Yeah,
Where
I
are
am.
you, Angelo?
The Eagles shellacked the Packers. No, they beat the Rams.
The Rams by
But
6.
yes, did they win good enough, Alex?
No. Again, how can they win good enough when they're a team that takes the foot off the gas in the second half when they have a measly lead? Like they had a lead of what? Like I think they had a lead of like 3 points, and then they just immediately took the foot off the gas. Nick Sirianni was calling just shit plays all around. Jalen Hurts looked like a deer in headlights at times. If they didn't have like the best running back in the league, they would have lost this game. Like this is probably a testament to the value of running backs right now. But Saquon Barkley had 205 yards running. And then I believe he added another like 20 something passing. Like your star QB getting paid like over 50 million a year threw for like 128 yards. Like if you take out Barkley entirely, he threw for like 101 yards because Barkley had 27 of those receiving yards. He took 7 sacks. Jalen Hurts did. Jared Verse like damn near got what he wanted out of there. Like he was throwing shots at Eagles fans even before the game. He was talking shit with Jalen Carter. He almost got what he wanted out of that game. He sacked Jalen Hurts a bunch. Jalen Hurts took 7 sacks again, as I said. He took a safety as well in there. Like how are you winning good enough when your best receiver? Do you know how many yards like their leading receiving threat, not running back or tight end, got? Like their wide receiver with the most yards. How many yards do you think those?
39.
21. And it was Devonta Smith. Like this offense, and this is the same thing as last week. Like this offense, just it's not that they're involved in those big games where like they're 10 or they're up 13 and they just like run the football. No, a lot of times these games are sort of close and they just take the foot off the gas. They stop running the football. Like it was apparent in the first half that they were gashing the Rams right, left, and center. Like they were throwing knockout punches all over the Rams with the run game. All of a sudden, Nick Sirianni just decided, yeah, I'm going to stop running the football. And you had drives in there in which Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball 2, 3 times in the drive, and it was like 3 and out. You're done. After having a lot of success with Saquon Barkley running the football, so they are just not consistent enough to my eyes, and I think they'll get caught eventually.
You got like 2 games for them to get got. Is if
They are
they
gonna
get
get
got
caught.
this late, did they really get got? Like
I mean, I
like
also think the Commanders are eventually gonna get caught. So, but we're still here. We're still running.
so someone's got that's the theme for the NFC Championship game. Someone's gonna get got.
I think it's gonna be a blowout. Like whichever way it goes, I think it's gonna be a blowout.
You think so you don't think this game's gonna be close?
No,
Interesting.
at least right now,
Hmm.
I don't. I could change my mind. I could see something that changed, but right
Spoiler
now,
alert, he thinks the Commanders are gonna blow out the Eagles because there's no way in hell resident Eagles hater Alex picks the fucking Eagles to make it to the Super Bowl. But go on.
although nothing would be sweeter than having like the Chiefs go into the Super Bowl and just beat those pesky Eagles fans to the ground, and then they get caught in the Super Bowl because that's when the real meltdown will happen. It's like they got to the Super Bowl, sort of an okay, a better season than last year, but you could see that they're shaky in a lot of places. And then they get to the Super Bowl, they get absolutely blown the fuck out, and you just have the Eagles fan cry all over social media and cry on the
Oh
radio,
my
like
God.
full on meltdown. Oh my god, I love it. That's what I want.
You
That's
have a
what I want.
problem.
Nah,
You have a
I just think
problem.
they're pesky fans. Like I just don't like the fan base in general.
Pesky fan.
Yeah, is there like a worse fan base in the league than Eagles fans?
Um, in the NFL or in
Yeah.
sports?
If I say sports, you're probably gonna say like the fucking Boston Celtics or some shit.
Yeah, yeah, those fans are annoying.
Like
It's
I don't even
um
watch that much basketball, and I think those guys are the worst of the worst.
Yankees fans can be pretty privileged too. But regardless, we're just throwing all the major teams under the bus. I personally dislike Steeler fans. I think they're fake tough guys, if I'm being honest.
Eh.
And the Bills fans are pretty notorious for being bad. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like the Bills fans are sort of the new darling because they do all of those things pre-game and the tables and whatnot, and they're loud. But I don't think they cry as much as Eagles fans. I don't think they are as big as the let's quote unquote say they are crybabies. And I also think like the Steelers fans, although they are like, I think due to how much they've won, I think they behave themselves a bit
The one
different.
Super Bowl they've won in the last 2 decades.
Well, yes, but like Boston Celtics fans also won like two rings in like 20 years, and they are unfucking bearable, dude. So at least the Steelers, like, yeah, they won little to no rings in the past 20 years. They won one, right? The past 20 years.
It's one or two, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one, but maybe two in the end
No, they
of
beat the
the.
Cardinals.
But
They
that
beat the
was it.
Cardinals. Okay, anyway, go on. Sorry,
Oh, I
going
think
down the rabbit
maybe
hole.
the only other one that you can bring out is the Cowboys fans due to how annoying they are and how little they win. That's about it. Like I think Eagles fans are bad, man, bad. So I want to see the meltdown. But yeah, I still don't think they've won good enough, and I'm not gonna give any sort of apologies to Eagles fans or the Eagles. Did you think they were that? Did you watch any of this game, or what games did you watch in general? Just so we know.
Yes, I watched some of this game. I didn't get to watch because I believe it was my 1 to 10 week when this game
Okay.
was on. But yes, I watched some of this game and I got to watch, some of the Bills Ravens, and we're gonna talk about that at the end of the show because I'm sure we have two different opinions on how this game went.
Anything that the
Go on.
Eagles did, were you like surprised? Were you like hyped by any of the things that the Eagles did?
I mean, I was hyped that they could run the ball at will with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and
Well, Jalen
but
Hurts, quote unquote, Jalen Hurts, because like they have what Jalen Hurts ran. Okay, he ran for like 70 yards, sure, but I think like nearly 40 of those were in a single run. So in the first half
I
for
mean,
the touchdown.
that's still he still got the yards, dude. Like, stop trying to like put asterisks on his accomplishments. But
I'm just
but
putting
but that's
context into the thing.
but but that's kind of the thing. That's the reason the Eagles' run game is so deadly, is because yes, you have the best running back in the league, but you also have a very mobile quarterback who is a threat to run the ball as well. So you have to account for both, because if you just account for Saquon, that's going to leave Jalen Hurts with a bunch of running room, and that's how you get one's just on a 40-yard run. That's how you get the 40-yard run, because you have to account for Saquon,
Sure,
dude.
sure. I like what I'm seeing right now and looking at the stats and having watched the game. I just think the new rules for offense next year will be you'll see a lot more people go for it on fourth down due to the success that the Lions had during the season. going for it in a fourth down when it's like 4th and 5 or lower than that. And the other thing will be running two running back sets. Like instead of a QB, you just throw two running backs out there.
The NFL is a copycat league.
Yeah, and they will just run exactly what the Eagles did. Like you have two running backs in there, no QB.
This guy.
Yeah, I'm just calling it how I see it. This stat line looks damn near looks like a Terrell Pryor stat line back when he used to dabble at QB.
Damn, you didn't even have the courtesy to go to Justin Fields.
Nah, 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 nah. Justin Fields probably threw for some more yards because he had garbage time.
Oh my God, this guy.
Or like everyone was open because the team just didn't give a fuck. But yeah, Eagles are still frauds in my eyes. They will eventually get caught. So either in the championship game or the Super Bowl. So I'll be here. We'll be here to see them.
You're just a hater. You're just a hater, man.
Okay, what happened to the Detroit Lions, Angela?
Oh, okay. We're back on the show sheet.
We're back on the show
Um,
sheet.
so I want you to recall, I believe it was 2 weeks ago when the playoffs started. What was my original prediction for how the playoffs were gonna go
I think you
for
had the
Detroit?
Eagles. Oh, for Detroit. I think you had them lose versus the Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken, in the second
Had
round.
them lose versus the Rams in the first game. Is what I had.
Wait.
And the reason I had them, what?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the Rams. Okay. Yeah.
The reason I had them losing against the Rams in the first game was because I understood the sheer like level of uncertainty around all the injuries and the defense. And in the playoffs, you cannot you even though the Commanders just did this, but you cannot win games 42 to 35 in the playoffs every game and expect to make a Super Bowl. I quite honestly, with all the injuries, I don't think the Detroit was a quote unquote fraudulent team if healthy, but I think the current iteration of the Lions was extremely fraudulent and extremely flawed. And I think a lot of the reason, now granted, Jared Goff turned the ball over 3 times, you know, giving the other team the ball 3 times when you don't turn the ball over like that is a recipe for success, as we're going to get to later. But I just did not have faith in the defense. I didn't think Jared Goff was going to like implode the way he did, but I didn't have faith in this team making, even though I literally predicted them. My first instinct was not to have Detroit making it that far in the playoffs because of all that. It is extremely difficult, even if you love. Oh my God, my brain doesn't work right now. The head coach,
And Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Even if you love Dan Campbell and his mindset, his next man up mindset, at some point the better talent wins out, and especially in the playoffs when you get less of the ticky tack calls and you see more physical play, unless your name's the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a lot harder to win those games. And it's a lot harder to consistently put up points in the playoffs. So now, granted, the reason I picked the Lions in this game was because I thought, okay, even with that case, you still have a rookie quarterback going into his second ever playoff game, his first season. Can you really expect them to run with a juggernaut team, the number one seed in the NFC? Oh, maybe not. I was more leaning on the experience of the Rams and the combination of the injuries and that to just win out. I did not expect that the defense would be suspect and Jared Goff would give the Commanders 3 freebies. But that's how you win a game. So
You also
decidedly.
you also didn't expect them to face the best rookie QB ever.
Oh,
So
stop it.
yeah. I
No,
mean,
he's not.
I'm just calling it how I see it. Who's the last rookie QB that went to a Super Bowl?
Terry Bradshaw, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, how many years ago was that? Because if I'm not mistaken, that was like 50, what,
It
two
was
or
50
three?
some years. Yeah. Yes, it was 50 some years.
So I think he has a case for best rookie QB ever. And I think part of the issue, as you addressed it with that, was just like the amount of injuries that he had. But he also had like extra injuries in the game. I believe it was, I think it was the rookie Terrion Arnold who also got injured in game, broke his arm or something like that. So he was also out. But yeah, the injuries just piled on the Lions. The Commanders, I mean, they had a good game. They finally developed the second weapon outside Terry McLaurin. The Amy Brown, out of nowhere, became a key player for them as well. And it's just like, I think they met their match as well with the Commanders because although the Lions do go for it a lot more on fourth down, the Commanders are the best team in terms of efficiency on fourth down. So they converted the most out of anyone. And I think that was the rest of the
Oh, maybe.
You live one thing about it. Faster teams in the league. Just the trick play in there. What?
Oh, maybe
Did you
my
cut
thing
off?
cut off. Speak now. Your mic
Ah,
was cutting in
yeah.
and out for me, but maybe that was my
Okay.
internet cutting in and out.
Okay, now I'm good.
Yeah, it was. Okay. But yeah. No, yeah, I'm good. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah, it's kind of that at that moment. Like I know they were down 14, but there was still plenty of time back when Jameson Williams threw the football. And if you're Jameson, like if you don't see the play wide open, you can't throw the football. You need to get out there. You leave to fight another day. It's not a third down situation. It's not a fourth down situation. You live to die another day, to fight another day. That is. But yeah, they got to get in that situation. It cost them four costly mistakes. They met their match in terms of going for it and being aggressive with the Commanders. I mean, props to Jayden Daniels. I mean, nearly 300 yards passing. Also very efficient on the ground with 16 carries for 51 yards as well. Like, he is the bulk of their running game. Brian Robinson is also carrying the load at times. They've they just managed to wear down the Lions, like running the foot. I mean, they had nearly what 40 attempts running the football. They were just dominating the Lions on the ground, on the trenches, and they were getting passes off as well. So props to them. It worked great. And yeah, again, I think Jayden Daniels might be the best rookie QB ever. And I read a thing that I didn't know about Jayden Daniels, but it was in his rookie contract that the team had to give him permission to include VR play in his training. So he trains with VR, and it says that it really helps his brain think that much quicker and stay calm in a lot of the situations that like manual work, like reading the playbook and in learning the plays and seeing video of plays and whatnot. Not really substituting that with VR, but complementing that with VR really helped them staying calm in a lot of those situations and developing his brain in order to respond faster to those situations. Do you think like there's merit to VR in there. Like that's something that teams can adapt for the future. That's just like a natural evolution of the game. Do you think it's just a coincidence and he's really that good because like he had a lot of years in college. He's ready for the big leagues. So if you look at the rookies this year as well, like the two rookies who had the most playing time in college, who were Jayden Daniels and Bo Nix, both went to the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But hmm. So I think the pendulum always swings. We go through this series where we have rookie quarterbacks come in and make the playoffs, and then we give them unreasonable expectations, and then they flounder. Time really is the teller of if someone is as good as their rookie season dictates or suggests. So you never know. Like RG3, if I'm not mistaken, no, no, he came in second to Andrew Luck, took the Commanders to the playoffs, or the Redskins at the time, to the playoffs, and he was hyped as one of the best quarterbacks, or was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Tore his ACL, I think either the next season or 2 seasons after, and he was out the league shortly after, and most recently seen as a backup to Lamar Jackson. So you never know how these things are going to shake out.
I think
And I think that what is probably going to be the result of that is we are going to put a lot of, I guess, unwarranted expectations on the rookie QBs in the future until it balances itself back out.
hmm, I think the RG3
And do
thing.
you know whose name we didn't speak in any of that?
Who?
Caleb Williams.
I
Or
mean, with his new coaching hire, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe next year we'll talk about Caleb a bit more. But I think the RG3 thing, although comparable because same team, same sort of running QB style of QB. I think the issue with RG3 was the injury really debilitated his running ability, and he was not developed enough as a passer that he could just like take the running out of his game and still be an effective QB. No, like he didn't have time for that adjustment to happen. Maybe who knows if he never gets injured, if he never loses his speed, maybe he really manages to develop his passing game. Uh, while he goes a bit away from the running style and he becomes a more accurate passer. But when you take that away from him that quickly, he just couldn't adapt to the lack of speed. While Jayden Daniels, I think he is a good enough passer at this stage. I think he was at a much, I think RG3 was at a much lower stage in his passing game when he got injured. Now that, in comparison to where Jayden Daniels is right now, I think he is a much better passer and much better refined passer. Daniels is that is, and I just think like if something like that were to happen, like knock on wood, to Jayden Daniels, I think he would be able to adapt a bit better. But yeah, like I just think like Daniels, when you watch him play, the way that he's composed in the pocket, the way that he doesn't really panic when making moves, the way that he finds the open player on the field, I think just his process of the game, he just seems to really get the speed right away. It didn't take any sort of adjustment in that. Like he immediately caught onto it. He was up to speed, didn't really affect them all that much. You see a lot of players struggling with that when they're young, when they're rookies, especially struggling to adapt to the speed of the game versus what it was in the college game. And now, like you watch Jayden Daniels, and he looks like a pro at times, like a vet, like a 10-year vet or something, where he's just like super composed, no matter if they're losing, if they're winning. Like he has pulled plenty of comebacks throughout the season and he's beat the odds. Like no one really thought his team was more than a 5, 6, 7 win team at best. Like Dan Quinn was the last coach hired out of the new coaches getting into the building. It was looked upon as a more of a transitional type of guy. Cliff Kingsbury as the OC was sort of not great when you think about it at the time because he didn't have a lot of of goodwill from the fans back with what happened with Arizona. And they come out here and it's like the team really is clicking in every single instant. The defense got a whole lot better during the season. And I just think on offense, a good part of it was Jayden Daniels because even when the plays weren't getting called at the best, Jayden Daniels still managed to be resourceful and still managed to find a way to win. And that's what he's doing. If it's through the
So what you're
ground, through
saying
the air,
is Jayden Daniels is the prospect you wish Anthony Richardson was.
yeah, maybe. Maybe it is indeed what I'm saying, Angela. He is the son that I never had. Now that Anthony
Yikes.
Richardson, who's now training with Josh Allen's mechanics coach,
Oh
maybe there's
boy.
still hope. But yeah, I
Uh,
really think like he is maybe the best rookie QB that we've had. Like in terms of like having the best rookie season, I think it's him. I think it's all him, and he's gonna cap it with a Super Bowl appearance.
no, he's not.
Hmm.
But
Jaden Daniels is kind of what the Eagles fan think Jalen Hurts is. So
okay.
okay, on the
You
other
just cannot
side,
hype up Jayden Daniels enough, huh?
I mean, I just think the dude is him. Best QB in his own division. Guy has it all.
Okay.
Okay, if we go on to the other side of the bracket, two games happened in there. Uh, one, it was sort of similar to the Lions Commanders, close enough in terms of line as well. But that one ended as we were expecting. The Chiefs went up and beat the Texans by, I want to say it was 34-23. No, wait, it was 14-23. That's it. That's it. So they beat the Texans 23-14 in a game that went about as we expected, with the Chiefs winning fairly quickly. Didn't really. I don't think the Texans really had any sort of chance, but people were outraged, Angelo. You didn't watch anything from that game, did you?
I watched a few things. My biggest takeaway was I think the Texans were better than you give them credit for. I think that's fairly objective.
You
I
always
think
think that.
that and huh?
You always think that.
I think that's just true. I mean, they were going toe to toe with them through the first half perfectly fine. But regardless, I think that the Chiefs are quickly becoming or in fact, they probably have already gone flipped the switch. They're the full Patriots from the 2010s. They even have their franchise quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and they seem to be now be doing things that the rest of the NFL is not looking a, you know, looking on with a smile. And the combination of that and, exposure fatigue, I think fans are getting tired of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl just about every year. And I don't know, it just left a rough taste in my mouth to watch Patrick Mahomes try and get more roughing the passer calls after he already got a few. That's kind of the thing. Like it's what's the word? It God, when you're watching a movie,
Hmm.
suspension of disbelief. It ruins the suspension of disbelief when now the players on the field are aware of what's happening and the favorable calls the Chiefs are getting. The Chiefs are actively trying to do things to get more of them. It leaves the sour taste in your mouth when you're watching. Agree?
Hmm. Agree in general, but I just don't think that's exclusive from Chiefs fans and Chiefs players. That's the big point of disagreement that I have with that argument is that like people look at it and if we're gonna talk about the calls, which is the main headline here, not the fact
Yeah.
that like CJ Stroud had 8 sacks. By the way, He got sacked
No,
4 times, looked like a deer in headlights in a lot of those plays. We're completely disregarding our depth. We're completely disregarding as well that their OC, the Texans OC, is complete trash. Like, got it completely exposed by Spags, that was coaching the Chiefs defense. We're disregarding all of that, and we're just jumping straight into the calls. Okay, the calls weren't good. Let's start by that. Let's say that the calls weren't good. The refs weren't at their best in that game. Okay,
I
it
think they were
happens.
for the Chiefs.
I I just don't think it was because it was the Chiefs. I say that because like I just think it was bad refereeing all around. Like I see other games where the calls are bad as well, equally as bad, and there's no bleep about it. Like people don't get outraged about it. Like I watch this Chiefs game, and I usually watch this, and I'm reading a Discord chat that I usually go to, and like no one in there really likes the Chiefs. There's like three, four, five people that like the Chiefs. The rest is heavily anti-Chiefs, especially one of them, which is a Patriots fan. He absolutely despises the Chiefs.
That's
Um,
ironic.
you wonder why, right? And it's like, okay, roughing the passers. The roughing the passer penalty is non-reviewable. Should it be reviewable?
Yeah, 1000%.
110%. Like, I'm completely on board. Until it is reviewable, the QB will always get the benefit of that. And it could be the Chiefs, it could be the Bills, it could be the Ravens, it could be the Panthers, it could be the Jags. The QB is always getting the benefit of that, especially versus the Texans, due to what happened with the Trevor Lawrence hit that put him in concussion protocol like for the rest of the season for a very dangerous hit by a Texans player at the time. So they will always get the benefit of the doubt, even more when facing the Texans. And it's like that happens in every single game. But when it's the Chiefs, there's an uproar. When it's Mahomes crying for a penalty, there's an uproar. Meanwhile, I watch the Bills games, and like every single game, I see Josh Allen just standing in there crying for the call. Like in his first game versus the Broncos, he literally comes in the post game press conference, and he's like, "Yeah, the refs told me to shut the fuck up because I was just calling for picks, for flags," and they were like, "Shut the fuck up, dude." And it's like that is okay, and it's a non-topic. But when Chiefs players and Mahomes specifically does it, like that's an issue, and that should be punishable. And like I understand that people want to put a 15-yard penalty flag on that. 100% on board. When you cry for a flag, 100%, I'm okay with it being a flag. But let's do that to every single player. Because then I'm watching the Ravens and Bills game, and I'm watching Josh Allen cry for flags, and there's zero beeps in that chat room when it was buzzing when it was Chiefs fans. So I just think people have two weights and two measures for the Chiefs and for the rest of the NFL. And while the others are darlings, the Chiefs are the villains. And I think they are okay with being the villains, but let's not fool ourselves. People are biased against the Chiefs. They will always be biased against the Chiefs. They were biased against New England. They were biased against every single team that won a lot. It's just how this goes. I don't think there's a big drama about it. Like people were calling for the refs' heads, that the game should go to court, that the game this that. This is a regularly ref game. The refs are poor in the game. We know that. There's rarely a game without cases. We know that. But it's for every single team. Every single team calls for penalties. Every single QB gets shitty roughing the passer calls, shitty unnecessary roughness calls called for them. It happens in every single game, and people only have a problem when it's the Chiefs and Mahomes. And I get it. They win a lot. They will win the Super Bowl again this year. It's frustrating to a lot of people. It is what it is. They are. That's another thing. Like I said in here, and I'm speaking against myself. I said in here this year, and I said the Chiefs are not winning it this year. I'm gonna put the Lions winning my bracket. How good has that served me? The Lions were frauds, sort of. We agree that they weren't really frauds, but they they lost in their first game. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, even if they don't play good, even if they don't play pretty, they win. That's what they do. It happens. They're going to the Super Bowl again. They're winning the Super Bowl again. So let's just stop hating the Chiefs because like you're probably watching the best QB ever. Like everyone cries about the calls, but no
That's
one
probably true.
gives credit to the touchdown pass that he made to Travis Kelsey while he was like nearly flat with the ground. He managed to put that ball in the perfect place for a touchdown to Travis Kelsey. That one doesn't count, but every single penalty dot is talked about. And Twitter was on fire. I had to rewatch the game because I was actually going to the cinema when the game was happening. So when I get off the cinema, I look at my phone and I follow a lot of people on Twitter and I have notifications for a lot of people on Twitter. And my
Normal.
phone had like I don't know, man. I had over 120, 150 notifications from Twitter alone. So I understand people are mad that they cry for peg. You mentioned it. You don't like it when they cry for flags, when they do all of that for flags. But it is the nature of the game. Players that cry get the penalties. Players that don't get the penalty. The only star QB ever that didn't get the flags was Cam Newton. That's it. That's the list. And that's because he was 6'4", 250. That's it. Every other QB is going to get the flags. So it's like, why do you have an issue when it's the Chiefs, but you don't have an issue when it's the Bills? Tell me, Angelo.
Because so it's a reactive versus proactive. So when Josh Allen is reacting to a play on the field, I am more sympathetic to that because that is his reaction. He wants he believes that's a flag. He wants that flag to be called. When you are actively like playing the game in a way to get flags, that's another level to me. That's a step above. Because
How do you
Patrick Mahomes
define
isn't
that?
just and I'm not, huh?
How do you define that? What's that in your words? Like,
So like when he's holding on a little bit longer just to get the roughing the passer call. That's and granted, at least when I've watched Mahomes, he doesn't seem to complain that much. He just takes his calls and go home. But changing the way you play and it being noticeable to the people watching is a level beyond like yelling at a ref and being told to shut the fuck up because you're complaining too much. That's kind of the thing. That's the thing
I
for me. And I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah, everyone gets calls, everyone doesn't get calls. You can't bitch, you can't complain, just move on to the next play. I'm very much about that. But the stuff with the Chiefs is different now, not because it's always happening in prime time or because they're always getting the calls to win the game, but because now it appears like they are consciously aware that they are getting the calls and they are doing things to try and make those calls happen more often. That's where it gets me. That's where I'm like, okay, that's the line. You crossed it.
I I just I'm not entirely certain if they call that if they cry that more for calls or even if they get even all that many calls versus the others. Like, do they actually? And that's the thing. Like, whenever this argument comes, it's always they get the flags more than anyone else. And the only
I'm
thing
not
that
making
I
that
always
argument.
ask, what?
I'm not making that argument.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
making
but
the go ahead.
no, go.
I'm making the argument that they're aware they're getting calls and they're doing things to try and make that happen more. So it feels like they get more penalties than the rest of the NFL.
Okay, but
That's the
if
case
they're
I'm making.
if they're getting the calls and the others have to cry for the calls, so that means they already get more calls than the others. So let's say I don't know, 10 plays happen, they get three flags. They don't cry about any of them. If the other team runs 10 plays, they get, I don't know, one flag. If they cry for it, they get three flags. They're already at an advantage. It's how I'm constructing it. And then if they put themselves in the position to get even more flags, then that would mean that probably the Chiefs get more flags than any other team, right? That's just how I'm deconstructing it.
That mm, I don't know if I'd say they but go on. You have a point. You're going across. Go ahead.
I think like that always gets brought up, and the only thing that I usually ask is like, give me the stats for that because I just can't believe that it's true at this point in time. I have yet to see like a stat thrown my way that says like the Chiefs are actually the team that get the most flags out of anyone. And if I'm not mistaken, and maybe I was mistaken, I was actually trying to find it here because you know I always have my baby little stats, but this one is kind of buried deep somewhere in here. But I have a stat in here about how many roughing the passer calls there are. Okay, yeah, I found it finally. Finally. Um, so Mahomes has actually less roughing or unnecessary roughness flags thrown for him than Allen. Mahomes only has 71 in his career. Allen has 101.
Let's see something just for this game. So what you're saying is Josh Allen has received more roughing the passer calls.
Since 2018. So not career, 18.
Defense, special teams. Oh, so since they became okay, that is not what I'm looking for.
And also, for all of those of you while Angelo searches for it, that start calling about the refs and whatnot, let me just tell you, the Bills get more unnecessary roughness slash roughing the passer calls, and the referee that they will have for the championship game leads the NFL in unnecessary roughness penalties in 2024, which is Blake
So
Blakeman.
just as an example, okay, I pulled up the last game. I pulled up the penalty numbers for the last game. It was harder to find than I was expecting. So the Texans committed 8 penalties for a favor of 82 yards. That's 82 yards that went to the Chiefs because the Texans committed to them. The Chiefs got called for 4 penalties for 29 yards.
Okay.
That's a fairly big discrepancy, friend.
It is, and I'm not even saying
And if you want to make the argument the Chiefs are more disciplined because Andy Reid is a better coach, okay, I could see it. But I'm curious to know like what some of these stats are because now, granted, we don't have the because this is the first game the Chiefs played. I'm curious to see what those. Hold on, let's go to Bills Ravens. Bills versus
I
Ravens.
just don't think that like one game trumps the discrepancy that is in terms of roughing the passer calls between Allen and Mahomes since they came into the league or 2018. I think they came in the league before that. So since 2018, like their numbers, Allen has more calls going his way than
There might be
Mahomes.
something to this. So Ravens Bills. The Bills committed 1 penalty for 10 yards, so the Ravens got 10 yards on that. The Ravens committed 5 penalties for 43 yards, so 43 extra yards going to the Bills.
But only one of those teams, people cry about
So,
them everywhere. There's only one.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Chiefs still got 3 extra calls. Then the Bills didn't
Sure,
that last game.
I'm
But
not even saying that that shouldn't be the case, but if I'm not mistaken, they also threw more. I think Mahomes had 25 passes. If I'm not mistaken, Allen only had 22. So,
who did the
and
Bills beat in the first round? Steelers?
Broncos.
Broncos? I'm just curious what the penalty stats were for that game. There you are. 731. Oh, that's not what I was expecting. The Broncos only gave the Bills 27 yards on 3 penalties. The Bills gave the Broncos 45 yards on 7 penalties. Hmm. So, yeah.
I think they get as many, if not more, penalties than what the Chiefs get, but they don't win.
The
So
Bills,
people, yeah,
very possibly. They are one of those darlings. I also
but they
wouldn't be
don't win.
surprised if
So
the
people are
Bengals
okay with
also got.
it.
Mm, I mean, I guess it's the moments the penalties happen into because a lot of those favorable Chiefs calls that people are going to talk about did come on live TV in prime time, late in games. That I mean, for Christ's sake, Alex, we did recorded an episode earlier in the season where you said it felt like the Chiefs had plot armor at this point, actual legitimate plot armor.
But they add plot armor because they always find a way to win. That's the thing. It's not because of the calls or because of this or that. It's just that even when the odds are stacked against them, they find a way to win. That's what they do. That's who they are. That's it. So that's why I said that. They're still gonna have plot armor because they're going to the Super Bowl. Simple as. Okay, so you are sort of in their field. Did I manage to bring you back a bit? And do you at least ponder that they're maybe not the most benefited team from the entire NFL?
I'm not sure I even thought they were the most benefited team from the NFL. I just thought they were doing stuff to. I
Yep.
think they have kind of exposed the viewing experience. That's my thing.
But can you at least get on the same page with me that the Bills sort of probably are in the lead for the team that gets the most penalties and gets the least shit?
Oh no, yeah, the Chiefs are the bad guys in the NFL.
Yeah. So like no matter what happens, like if it's a passing interference and the other team has like 10 called in favor of them, if the Chiefs get one, it's the end of the world. The Chiefs, like the refs are sold. The refs have been bought by the Chiefs. Immediately what happens? Despite everything else that happens, despite all of the calls that go against the Chiefs, people don't give a shit. People will just say that they're rigging the league and it's all in favor of them. That's the thing that I have issues with. I just can't get behind that. Okay, but since we're talking mostly the Chiefs, a bit of the Bills, let's transition full into the Bills. That's the big game, right? That's the game that we were disagreeing about. I was thinking the league
I
MVP would
agree.
go in there and was gonna win. That was my only
No, no, no,
loss.
no! Give him his no, 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 no! Give the fucker his flowers. You called him the 2-time unanimous MVP, where
Soon to be
Josh Allen has never
three-time
won an
MVP.
MVP. He's been to as many AFC Conference Championship games as Josh Allen, and you trust him more in the big moments than Josh Allen. Now give Lamar his flowers, man. Come on. I'm gonna take him away here in about 5 minutes, but go ahead
Hey,
and give Lamar his flowers while you can.
the soon to be three-time league MVP had his issues, had his mistakes, but at the end of the game, the one thing that I have an issue with, it's like, okay, he had his mistakes. He had an interception. He had the fumble. Sure, I'll give him that.
Two
They
fumbles.
lost two fumbles. Wait, two fumbles, but only one lost, or am I tripping?
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
No, no,
Fumbles
no.
were
Only
lost.
one fumble. The other fumble was Mark Andrews. That's it.
I could have swore they had 3 fumbles but
Yeah,
maybe.
they had
Anyway, go
three,
ahead.
but one was Tylen Wallace. But that wasn't lost.
Oh, okay. That wasn't lost. Got it.
So he had the pick. He had the fumble. Lost. Okay, I'll give him all of that. But in the end of the game, they got in there. They marched down the field. They got the touchdown. That's Lamar. Lamar deserves the credit for that one. Did all of that. The 2 point conversion, it's Mark Andrews straight in the end. Mark Andrews drops it. In the end of the game, he takes all the blame, Lamar. He takes all of the blame, takes none of the credit for actually getting the team to a point in which they should have tied the game. And people will just
Yeah,
shit on
I
Lamar.
appreciate that.
But people will just shit on Lamar. So if Lamar doesn't get them the touchdown in the end, people shit on Lamar. If Lamar gets the touchdown in the end, and fails the 2 point conversion as happened, people shit on Lamar. If Lamar gets to touchdown, Lamar gets 2 point conversion, and they'll lose in overtime, people will shit on Lamar. That's my issue with it. It's just like, where are we actually giving him props? Do we just give him props? I think we should.
When we get the 2 fucking unanimous MVPs and the one he definitely didn't deserve, that's when. That's when we gave him his props, buddy.
Oh,
That's
you,
when.
you should get props in this one as well. Was playing in the snow, in the middle of the
He
snow.
turned the ball over.
Two times he turned the ball over, but he also threw for 2 touchdowns. And he led the game, what should have been the game tying drive
You know
in
who
the
didn't
end.
turn the ball over 2 times? Josh Allen.
You're,
Josh Allen didn't turn the ball over 2 times.
you're right. He
Thank
didn't turn the ball over. But was his game impressive?
He put no, you're not doing this. I'm not letting you do this. He put them in the situation for him to have an impressive ending. If he would have just played like that the start of the game and not decided to turn the ball over in 2 straight possessions, then they wouldn't need him to throw a fucking 50-yard dot to get them into the red zone, or actually I think it was a touchdown. No.
Okay.
You are not giving him the credit at the end when he tried to salvage the shit show that he put them in.
How
We're not doing this.
what?
We're not
How
doing
is that a
this.
shit show? How is that a shit show? He
He
threw
turned it over
interception.
2 times.
Two times. One of them, the fumble. The fumble was a botched snap by the center. He manages to recover the football, and while trying to make a play, he fumbles the football. Sure, let's give zero of the blame to the center who snapped the ball badly to him. Let's put zero blame on that. Full blame on Lamar. Sure. Okay. Let's get behind that. The interception, that's the one thing that I'll give you the most credit for because I don't really know where the play was going. Okay. 100% blame to Lamar Jackson. Where does the blame lay when he threw, for example, I remember a drive that ended on a third down while I think they settled for a field goal in the end of that drive. He hits Mark Andrews straight in the end. Mark Andrews drops that one. Blame is on Lamar still. That one doesn't matter. Blame is on Lamar. Lamar in the end.
But
In the
we
end.
are blaming Mark Andrews.
No. Because everything we've heard so far is Lamar threw the ball, turned the ball over 2 times. If Lamar hadn't turned the ball over 2 times, he wouldn't need to lead that drive in the end. It's like zero blame to anyone else. He didn't have his best receiver in the game, for example, Zay Flowers. He had to deal with Nelson Aguilar. I didn't even know Anthony Miller was still in the league until he was making plays to get first downs on third down. So Bears legend Anthony Miller apparently reappeared out of nowhere, and he was playing wide receiver for the Ravens in a game that would lead them to a conference championship. He had Anthony Miller, Nelson Aguilar, Isaiah Likely, and Butterhands Mark Andrews. But all of the blame goes to Lamar, and I think that's something we should praise because that's a leader. He puts the blame all on himself. The first thing that I said to Mark Andrews was, "This was not on you. We lost as a team." Okay, perfect. But
That's
the
what he should do.
public and and I 100% agree. But the public and the fans, they should have the capacity to look at the game and look what happened and say, this loss was not entirely on Lamar Jackson. Lamar had a great game. He had one mistake totally on him. He had another mistake that started with a mistake from his offensive line. And he had issues in the receiving end. He had a tight end that dropped the football in two key moments. One would have been a first down. And actually, I think it was three key moments. I would have to check back if Mark Andrews had one or two drops because I think he had two. One of them would be a first down. The other one would have been no, it wasn't Mark Andrews. It was Derrick Henry in the first drive of the game or the second drive of the game. He hits Derrick Henry straight in the ends. Would have gained, I don't know, like 30 to 40 yards easily because there was no one around him. He was in space. He caught the ball like 15 yards out of the line of scrimmage. Would have gained around 30 to 40. He hits the ball straight in his hands and he drops it. Mark Andrews had another drop that would have gone for a first down and wouldn't have them settle for a field goal probably if the drive continued. And then Mark Andrews had the fumble, had the drop in the end that that cost them to 2 points to tie the game. And he also had the fumble while trying to extend the play somewhat, and he just got the ball punched from him. So like those plays happened. Those plays weren't in my head. Like everyone saw those plays, but yet like people are putting a whole lot of blame on Lamar. They're praising Josh Allen when Josh Allen had like the same stat line as bum ass Jalen Hurts. But like Josh Allen is great. This is just the goodwill that Bills have in general. It's like they have a lot of goodwill because they're the team that is always a
Will. Oh my
yeah,
god! I can't
they.
believe
I
you.
mean, they
Good for
get the
you.
calls. People don't call them out on. I mean, they had a pass interference call here that was completely asinine. Like, if the Chiefs got that call, oh man, the internet would have burned alive. Like a pass to, I think it was Keon Coleman or Mac Hollins or something, where Josh Allen threw that football and like the receiver, that's an OPI. And I don't know who the Ravens defender was, but that's a
Simple.
clear OPI, and the Ravens defender gets called for defensive pass interference, and they
Oh,
go on
fucking
for a touchdown. But that one is okay. Like nothing. Nothing talked about that one. Nothing was spoken about Josh Allen. Didn't even pass for 130 yards passing. Didn't even have 150 yards of total offense. None of that gets called into question. It's all Lamar lost that game. When without Lamar, they would have been in a much worse situation. And if Lamar had better
oh,
weapons, Lamar would have won this game.
fucking double standard, bitch.
What's the double standard here?
Like, like, so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. If I recall, going into this season, one of the things we talked about, and then it's one of the things I said. One of the things I said about Josh Allen coming into the season is that he plays great, but it seems like he turns the ball over too much when it matters. You went with that too. You know, he had this game. I said it again. I said it when he played the Bengals. I said it when his losses against the Chiefs. You cannot turn the ball over against teams that good. And you agreed, and I criticized him. And now that it's darling Lamar Jackson with the turnovers and not Josh Allen, and Josh Allen actually plays a fairly clean game in inclement weather. Now it's we gotta stop blaming the quarterbacks, even though they turned the ball over. Get the fuck out of here. It's the same standard. Whether or not it is fair is not my concern. It is the standard. If you turn the ball over in the playoffs against really good teams, you are going to lose. And that's what happened. They lost to a team that they blew the fuck out in the regular season because they gave them opportunities that they didn't need to give them. So, do I appreciate Lamar Jackson for being a leader and saying, yeah, it's not just on Andrews, it's not on me? Absolutely. Kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. But let's not pretend like you couldn't Google search right now the headlines of this game, and it's people lambasting Mark Andrews for the fucking drop. And something I didn't want to bring up, but I guess I am going to, is what do you think about Chris Sims saying Lamar made that pass as hard as he possibly could for Mark Andrews to bring in? Do you agree or disagree with that sentiment from Chris Sims, someone you have quoted multiple times in the past? Go on, Alex.
Uh, First, double standards. I'm just putting context into the game. You come in here and you said that Lamar Jackson turned the ball over two times, and you make a big case about how Lamar Jackson turned the ball over two times versus Josh Allen's none. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here and I'm giving you people and I'm giving you Angelo and I'm giving our audience context. That's all that I'm saying. It is sure, two turnovers were made by Lamar Jackson, and I'm saying exactly what happened. A botched snap that he didn't handle properly in the end, and it cost him the fumble and an interception. That's one. It's on him. So I would put one turnover on him. The other turnover, I would give most of that blame.
We didn't classify blames on the turnovers with Josh Allen, so why are we classifying blame with Lamar Jackson?
We did, if I remember correctly, we did because especially versus the Ravens, I remember sitting here plenty of times saying the first game versus the Ravens, I was sitting here and I was giving context. I was saying that even plays that weren't official quote unquote turnovers, I was sitting here, I remember perfectly. First half, they were down, I think it was only 2 scores in the first half. They had around a minute and 40 with 3 timeouts. They threw 3 passes deep. Josh Allen makes 3 boneheaded passes deep. One of them almost gets intercepted. It's a dumbass drive to end the quarter when you just could have gone slowly, got 10, 15 yards at a time and drive down the field. No, you just go for 3 shots deep. One or two of them should have been interception. Boneheaded plays all the way from Josh Allen, and after that, it just goes downhill from there. So I gave context every time. It's not for with me. It's usually not like shitty turnover, shitty turnover. I tend to put some context in what happens in those turnovers, and in this case, Lamar Jackson, he has 2 turnovers. If you look at the box score, one of them on him, the other one, like the blame should be mostly on the offensive line, on Chris Sims and the drop pass of Mark Andrews. I think I've seen them run that play. I don't know, man, like 20 times in the last 2 to 3 years. It's just their standard 2 point conversion play. It's like it's the money play when they're going for two in that point of the game. It's just it. It's usually a wide receiver or a tight end doing that. I mean, he was going down. The ball hits him in his hand. I don't see how that's all that much difficult, honestly. I think there were much difficult passes that he could have thrown. So I don't really agree with Chris Sims in that scenario in which like it was one of the highest degree of difficulty catches that or throws that Lamar Jackson could have done. I think that's just the play that they usually run, executed as they usually execute it. In the end of the game, Mark Andrews just dropped that thing, as he did prior, and as he had fumbled as well before. So the headline shouldn't really be that Lamar Jackson lost them the game. It should be that Mark Andrews lost them the game. But that doesn't
That is
tell, right?
international.
Now, but it's not the headline that we have here because I just heard you have a big spiel about what happened to the Ravens and how Lamar Jackson had 2 turnovers and how like Josh
Yep.
Allen, very clearly the superior QB, should be the MVP. But in all of that spiel, I maybe I'm going deaf. Maybe that's just it. But I don't think I've heard you mention Mark Andrews' name once, and that's the issue. It is. I mean, he was out there. He put himself out there, even though he didn't have to. But he put himself out there. He's a leader. He's a leader of men, and I think I. You know me from a while back. You know that I wasn't big on Lamar when he came out. Lamar has just grown on me, and I think Lamar had a better game than Josh Allen, even if you account for the interception that is, and the fumble turnover. Yes, and the fumble. I'm sorry, Angelo, and the fumble. But the big difference was Josh Allen's weapons didn't fuck up. Lamar Jackson's weapons did. But all of that just to lose to the Chiefs next round.
No, they're not.
No, they're
They're
not.
going.
We're just doing this again, huh? We're just doing. No, they're not because they're the better team and they play the better football. And the Chiefs only threw the ball, I don't know, for 107 yards, and they are playing shitty football. The offense doesn't look good.
No,
They beat them in the regular
I think
season.
offense for the Chiefs has played very well the last, I'd say, 7 games and in the playoffs. Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I think the Chiefs have been playing good,
they ran the ball for
honestly,
like
lately.
40 yards. They don't really have a run game. They have like three guys running the football. They aren't worth one at this stage. The wide receivers, I think the wide receivers that are around 60 yards receiving in total. Kelsey had 100 and change, 110 or so.
Yeah.
Mahomes threw the ball for 170 yards. So, but we were sitting here, and I'm trying to be your friend, Angelo. Because after this, we're going to do the predictions. We're probably going to look at our playoff picture. We're going to make any changes if necessary, and we're going to make the picks. And I already know, that you're going to sit in there and you're going to pick the Bills. You're going to pick the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. You're probably even going to pick the Bills to win the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to be your friend, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, you remember back when we were discussing what the Bills needed in the
Uh-huh.
playoff. When we knew that the Bills were good in season, we said they needed to beat the Chiefs, and then they would need to make that other game lead in order for the game to be in Buffalo. That's the thing that they needed. They needed the game to be in Buffalo. Because what happens, Angelo, when they go to Kansas City?
They lay an egg.
They lay an egg. And you're gonna sit in there again after watching all of this for all of the years that they have gone into Arrowhead. When it matters and lay an egg, you're gonna sit in there and you're gonna pick the Bills again. And I'm just trying to be your friend, Angelo. And I'm saying, take the Chiefs. Take the logical route.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see what you do in about 10 minutes or so. So yeah, just trying to be your friend. You and everyone in there at home. If you're thinking, yeah, I'm gonna bet the Bills because the Bills just had a great win versus Buffalo. The Chiefs have all of this controversy, all of that good thing. Like the weapons for the Bills are maybe better. The defense has been playing better. All you can try and rationalize it all the way that you want. In the end of the day, it's just like that MVP that LeBron James lost to Derrick Rose. It's fatigue. Fatigue of greatness. And the pick is the Chiefs, and the pick for the Super Bowl is the Chiefs. People need to understand that. Simple as.
So I want to clap back at this idea that yes, Josh Allen's weapons played better than Lamar's weapons. But I want to clap back at this idea that the Bills are just a much better team than the Ravens. Specifically with the fact that one, the Ravens shellacked them the first game, and two, going into this season, no one expected the Bills to do anything, even after all the success they had historically. So, to sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, this Bills team is so much." No, it's not. It's not. No one ever thought it was.
Teams
Stop
develop,
this.
Angelo.
Teams do develop.
The Ravens Bills
I
game.
guess if you're Lamar Jackson, they regress too.
There you go. You didn't say Mark Andrews, did you? You didn't say the guy that had also two turnovers and two drops. You didn't mention that guy. You mentioned Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you what you said. Okay? It stays with
Mhm.
you. So the Bills just are a different team than what they were when they faced the Ravens. It is what it is. I think they're a bit more of an aggressive team. But they're it's not that just that they're aggressive. I think they're smarter as well. Because again, I mentioned it before, the thing that happened before the half versus the Ravens in the first game, that to me that decided the game very clearly. I think they're just a smarter team. They've learned their lessons across the season. And that's why they managed to beat the Chiefs.
And you know what they're doing that they have not done historically?
What?
They're turning the ball over less.
True. I mean, but Josh Allen is having a great year in that regard. Very little turnovers. I'll give you that. That's still not going to be enough to go to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. Simple as.
Hmm.
Do you have any other point in this game that I need to clap your ass on?
You haven't been clapping yet,
Oh
though.
no, I think that the audience would agree with me that I've been
No,
winning this. I've been winning this. As I said
no, you
before,
have.
I've been already Spectre your ass. So
Except with winning, apparently. But no, I guess we go on
hey,
to our predictions.
do you want to
Next, we're
go
gonna.
with the playoff picture or do you want to go with the predictions picks? That is.
I'll let you decide that. I don't care either way.
Okay, I think we can go with the picks, and then we'll look at the play. No, well, let's go with the playoff prediction first, because we can choose a team to advance, but cover the line or something like that. So let's go with the playoff picture first. Okay, so you had the Eagles winning. That's on you. You had the Lions winning as well. You got that one right. You had the Chiefs winning. You had the Bills winning. You got all of that right. So then you had the Bills at the Chiefs right now, and you had the Bills winning. Do you stay with that one?
The Bills beating the Chiefs again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then you had Lions beating the Eagles. Of course, the Lions aren't in anymore. It's the Commanders. So now you have Commanders Eagles. Who goes to the Super Bowl?
The Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, and you're about to get the most toxic Super Bowl in NFL
This
history,
is the
baby.
Super Bowl that I really don't want to see, man. So who's winning the Super Bowl? This is your original Super Bowl pick, by the way. It was the 2-2
That's right.
seats.
I should have
So,
stuck to my gut,
but you didn't.
but
So,
I saw the Lions. I saw the Commanders winning. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
so who do you have winning the Super Bowl? I think before you had the Bills.
Hmm.
Who is it going to be right now?
I still think the Bills.
All right. Bills as your Super Bowl pick. Okay, so I had Rams Eagles. I had the Rams winning. Lions Commanders. I had Lions winning. That unfortunately has completely flipped on his head. So Commanders Eagles is the championship game. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. On the other side, Chief Texans. I had the Chiefs winning, so that's right, and I had the Ravens winning on the Ravens Bills. That's unfortunately wrong. I had the Bills then. Uh,
Unfortunately.
Bills KC is the championship game. KC goes to the Super Bowl. KC wins. Let's just go with the good old KC win. KC beats the
So
Commanders
wait,
in the Super Bowl.
KC beats the. Oh, this guy.
All right.
This guy. Commanders picks.
And now we go to the picks. So last week you took an L on the Houston Texans. Actually, I was wondering what line did we have at the time, because I know there was one game with 9.5, and then one game with 8.5. So apparently the Texans line was 8.5 when you took it. So you took an L on that one. You had Texans plus 8.5. You had Washington plus 9.5. That's a win. You had Philadelphia Eagles -6, so that's a push. And you had the Buffalo Bills +1. That's a win. I had KC -8.5. That's a win. Washington plus 9.5. That's a win. Rams +6. That's a push. And the Ravens -1. That should have been a win, but it's a loss. That's the small little recap. And now for the picks. Well, I usually have this open, but apparently it has closed. Now for the picks for this week. Betting lines. Okay. It's usually open by now. I'll throw you the link real quick. There you go. Okay. While you open it, I guess I'll just start first. There's only 2 games on the dock this week, so it's gonna be quick. There's been a lot of movement in this lines, especially the first one. That's crazy. Okay, so the first game is Commanders at Eagles. So that's both games are on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So one game is at What's that in your time? In your guys' time? That's three. So one game is at three. The other game is at 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. So the first game is Commanders at Eagles. The line opened at 4.5, but most places right now have it at six. So the Eagles are 6 point favorites in this one. I think that's a clear case for Commanders plus six, honestly. Although I'm a bit, if I didn't have this disdain for the Eagles, I probably would pick the Eagles. I think the Eagles are the smart place because if you did watch the first two games, one of them they like the Commanders really couldn't do anything in the first game, and the second one was one of those weird games in which like the Commanders won. I don't know how they had like five turnovers and they won the game. But maybe it's just like the team's developing, and the Commanders have been on a good path. The Eagles have gone on a shit path, and this is what you have. So I definitely think 6 points is a bit much. So I'm gonna go with the Commanders because I like Jayden Daniels because I think this is probably gonna be a Commanders win. Wouldn't be shocked if it goes the other way around. But I'm gonna go with the Commanders plus six. I'm gonna stick with my guns, Angel.
Oh, Alex, 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 Alex,
Do
Alex.
actually do you want to go with six or do you want to avoid the push and go with the 6.5?
Go with the 6.5.
Okay, so I'll take the 6.5 for Washington.
I think. I think for betting purposes, I'm actually going to be with you. I don't think the Eagles are going to win by 6.5. So I'm actually going to go with the Commanders on the odds.
All right, Commanders plus 6.5 it is.
This other one, though,
When they win, you're probably gonna be happy with this one as well. The Commanders.
I don't know about that one.
This one is kind of
All
all
right.
over
Oh,
the
I'm
place.
next.
Yeah, you're next. There's only two games, buddy.
That's right. I forgot. All right. So Bills at Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City looks like they're favored by 2.
Do you want to
I
go
mean, you
two
know
and a
what time
half
it
or
is.
1.5 to avoid the push?
2.5.
2.5.
I mean, you said there's no chance, so give me 2.5.
Okay, 2.5 it is.
So Bills all the way to the
Plus
Super Bowl.
2.5.
You're gonna be
Easy,
crying your crocodile tears with the Chiefs fans.
easy KC minus 2.5 for me. It is. I just think there's the Chiefs are inevitable. That's just it. And this game is gonna go like the Bills are gonna come in. They're gonna set the run game. They're gonna run the ball somewhat. You're gonna be. It's gonna be a. I don't know. It's gonna be a 17-10 game at the half. They're gonna be winning. People will be feeling good about this one. They'll be ignoring the calls for flags from Josh Allen, like the crying from Josh Allen, all of that he does. Actually, fun enough. People tend to throw around the conspiracy theory of they need Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl for the views and whatnot. Let me throw you one. There's probably the new Marvel movie trailer dropping on the Super Bowl. One of the halftime or one of the ads during the Super Bowl. It's probably gonna be the new Marvel movie, the Captain America new movie. So the trailer's probably going to drop on that one. Do you know who's a part of the MCU and just got engaged to an NFL player?
Taylor Swift.
Part of the MCU, Angelo. I got you off your game. You see, you're completely off your game. You don't know what you're doing anymore. Yeah, it's like the palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. It's just like you're nervous. I just feel
Who is
like
it,
that's
Alex?
the thing. That's Haley Steinfeld or whatever her name is that just got engaged to Josh Allen.
Oh, nice.
So she's a part of the MCU. I'm not sure if she's gonna have anything to do with this movie, but if I'm not mistaken, she's probably gonna be in a movie coming up, which is part of a team that one of the guys in this movie, I think it's the bad guy in this movie, will be a part of. So I'm just giving you the conspiracy theory. Maybe they actually want her there for the Super Bowl. Just saying. Just saying. All of that said, give me the Chiefs -2.5. They're going to be losing at half. They're going to win this game by 3. Late field goal to just like Mahomes said when they were playing golf, him and Allen. When they asked him, what's Josh Allen's biggest fear? Mahomes just said, a coin flip. He's going to be sitting there
Coin flip.
thinking he's actually going to overtime. But Mahomes is just going to lead a game winning drive. Going to go for a field goal. They're going to win the game. People are going to be crying because it's the Chiefs again in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are going to win their 4th ring this year as well. So it's going very close to what Tom Brady has done.
Boring.
I don't care. I just want to say that I watched the entire career
Someone
of
who
the
likes to
GOAT
be
of the
wrong
NFL.
so much. You seem like you enjoy like teams that win. Maybe it's projection. Maybe it's like I can't be that, so I'm just gonna latch and attach myself to it. It's
I,
okay,
I
Alex.
think you
It's
just had
okay.
RV Specter this week, and you are sort of you're
I
weeping
didn't
right
get
now. I got you off your game, Angelo. You thought the Eagles had faced the Packers. You thought Taylor Swift was part of the MCU. Just admit it, Angelo. I think this week I completely got you, man.
well,
So yeah. So that's about it. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this one?
other than you were wrong, no.
Just gonna be right about who wins the Super Bowl. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's gonna be very clear. When you don't have a single team picking right to go to the Super Bowl next week, I'm gonna see what you're gonna say.
Hmm. Well,
Okay,
that's you can put that in Neverland because that's not happening.
we'll see. So for that, you have to stay tuned for next week's show. So yeah, thank you guys. If
Hopefully
you if
not
you
from Neverland.
No, no, no. We're not going to be recording from Neverland. You're going to be recording from sweet ass
Oh,
America, while I'm going to be
okay. Well,
recording
then
from Portugal.
those and Eagles are going to be the Super Bowl,
Mm,
or at least
we'll
one of those
see.
teams will be there.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. You got off your game, Angela, this week, so you maybe just you wanted to pick the other side. It's understandable. Okay, so guys, if you stayed on this long, appreciate it. Thank you, as always. If you're listening to this on the Apple Podcasts or the Spotify app or wherever you really listen to your podcast, just make sure to subscribe to the show, turn on the auto downloads as well, leave us a 5-star review. That really helps out the show. All of that really helps out the show, and it's free, so perfect for you. If you're on YouTube, which you probably are because this episode is under 2 hours, just make sure to subscribe, notifications, comments, all of those good things as well. If your team is still in the playoffs, congratulations. If you got eliminated, it's because your team is not very good unless you're a Ravens fan. So yeah,
Oh my God, with the Raven
appre-
sympathy.
appreciate
God.
you guys. Hope your team is still in it. Hope you have a good game this week, and good luck if you're still in the playoffs. If you're a Chiefs fan, congratulations on the Super Bowl coming up. If you're a Bills fan, go cry to Reddit. They have a very nice group in there. Like the entire NFL Reddit is a nice place for you to cry on when you lose to the Chiefs. Have a nice Sunday of football. This is coming out on Thursday, so plenty of time for you to listen it before the games. So enjoy the games. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, guys, talk to you next week.
Peace out, guys.